channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a very beautiful lace knit stitch pattern called the Gull Wings stitch pattern. This is a beautiful stitch pattern that really looks like beautiful bird wings. Take a look down here. I'm going to show you what I mean. As we take a look at the swatch I've created, you can see I've done a couple rows of garter stitch and I've kept the edge stitches in garter stitch as well. As we look at the body of this swatch, this is the lace stitch that we're going to be creating. You can see it creates a really pretty line of stitches going up right there, surrounded by yarn overs, and then these decreases that we're going to make with SSKs and knit two togethers really create sort of like arrows going up the swatch. To me, it looks like birds all in a line flying along, doesn't it? It looks really pretty. If we were to stretch out this swatch and really stretch out the lace stitch, you can see how those yarn overs can really open up and create a very beautiful stitch pattern. To create this stitch pattern, all you need to know is a knit, purl, yarn over, knit two together, and SSK. If one of those happens to give you a little bit of trouble, don't worry. I'm going to walk you through each step along the way, and maybe one of my little tips will help you become better at knitting or purling or knitting two together or doing an SSK. The first thing you need to do is go and download the pattern. Click on that button right there and it will take you to marleybird.com where this pattern is listed. And then I want you to gather some materials so that you can follow along as we make this swatch. Now I am using some Red Heart soft yarn and a pair of size 8 circular needles. The soft yarn is a worsted weight yarn. Do you have to use circular needles? Absolutely not. I just happen to prefer circulars over straights. So grab your pattern, get your materials, join me back here, and I'm going to show you how to do this 4-row repeat lace stitch pattern. Let's go. You have your pattern and you've cast on your 29 stitches. You've went ahead and worked through the first 3 rows and we're getting ready to work the pattern stitch. Look down here and I'm going to show you how to do just that. First, we're going to keep the first 4 stitches and the last 4 stitches of this swatch in garter stitch, which means I'm going to knit the 4 stitches to my marker, and then when I get to my second marker, I will always knit those 4 stitches after the marker. That's why we're using the markers today. Now I'm going to jump into our actual stitch pattern right after my marker, okay? So the first part of the pattern says I need to knit 1. So this first stitch, I'm going to knit it. Just simple, easy peasy, just like that. Now next thing, I need to do a knit 2 together. Now a knit 2 together is where you take your right hand needle, go into the second stitch on the left hand needle, and into the first stitch. So I just go right into those stitches. You see how that works? I go right into those stitches, yarn over my right hand needle, and knit those 2 stitches together and off. The knit 2 together actually leans to the right. Now the pattern says I need to do a yarn over, so I'm going to take my yarn, go between my needles, up and over my right hand needle and back to the back. Now I go ahead and follow along in pattern. I knit 1. I have to yarn over again, so I go between my needles, back up and over my right hand needle. And now I'm going to do an SSK. Now an SSK, you take your right hand needle, go into the first stitch on the left hand needle as if to knit and slip it off. Go into the next stitch as if to knit and slip it off. Now I have 2 stitches that are slipped onto my right hand needle. I take my left hand needle, go into the front leg of those 2 stitches just like that. And you can see it looks like I'm in the back leg of those stitches with my right hand needle. Can you see that? I'm going to yarn over my right hand needle just like I normally would and knit those 2 stitches together. When you do an SSK, those stitches actually lean to the left. The last part of my stitch pattern repeat is to go ahead and knit 1. So now the pattern says repeat from star to the end of the row. So I go ahead, I knit 1 stitch, I knit 2 together, I yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, SSK. Slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left needle goes into the front leg of those 2 stitches, yarn over, and pull out. Now it's really easy to accidentally use these yarn overs, remember you end with the knit one, to lose the yarn overs as you're going from one stitch to the next. So it's very important that you keep those yarn overs on your right hand needle. Let's do this one more time. You knit one stitch and then you knit two together. So I'm going into both of those stitches, knitting two together. Now I have to yarn over my right hand needle, knit one stitch, and I have to yarn over again. So I yarn over my right hand needle. My yarn is literally just resting right on my right hand needle. And now I do an SSK, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit. Left hand needle goes into the front leg of those two stitches. You see that? Yarn over my right hand needle and pop it out and off. And I end with my knit one. Now I'm at the end of my rows, or not the end of my row, but I'm to my marker. So I slip my marker and I'm just going to knit these last 4 stitches again, because I want to keep them in garter stitch the whole pattern through. Now this is for the stitch pattern that you guys are following along with me that was available or is available at marleybird.com. If you didn't click the link, there's still a chance for you. I'll make sure I put a link up right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch hands for this next bit, because all we're going to be doing is purling back. Whenever we're on the wrong side of our work for this particular stitch pattern, we just go ahead and we purl back. Now remember, I'm keeping the first 4 stitches in garter, so I'm going to knit those 4, slip my marker, and now I'm going to purl. So I'm going to go into the stitch as if to purl. See how that works? I'm into stitch as if to purl. You know what? I'll hold it in my other hand for you guys. Keep it consistent. Yarn over my right hand needle, pop it out and off. Go into the stitch as if to purl. Yarn over my right hand needle, out and off. Now you'll notice if you come to your yarn over, or as you come to your yarn over, it looks like this. It looks like yarn literally just laying on your needle, because that's what it is. You go into it just like you normally would any other stitch, yarn over, pop out of it and off. It's that simple. Don't drop it off your needle before you've worked into it. Just go into it, yarn over, come out and off, and you'll be left with those nice big holes, not super big holes, but those lace holes that we want. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish my purls all the way to my marker, and then I'm going to knit past my marker to the end of the row. So we are on row 3 of our stitch pattern, which is our right side row, and it's the second, what I call the action row, because it's what we're doing all the really cool lace bits, right? So I'm going to go ahead, knit the first 4 stitches. Why is that? Because we're keeping them in garter stitch. Yay, you guys are so smart. So this next part, we're going to start off with the knit 2 together. I go into those first 2 stitches, yarn over my right hand needle, and out. Now this is the exact same knitting as I was doing with the other hand. I'm just holding my yarn in the opposite hand. So we started off with knit 2 together, we yarn over, we knit 3 stitches, so knit 1, 2, 3, yarn over, and we do an SSK. So we slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, put our left hand needle on the front leg of those slip stitches, yarn over, pop out and off. That's the end of that repeat. So we start it up again, start at the star, which begins with a knit 2 together. So I go ahead, do my, oops, I split my yarn, do my knit 2 together, and now I do my yarn over, knit 3, knit 1, 2, 3, yarn over, SSK, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left hand needle on the front leg, yarn over, pop out and off, and Bob's your uncle. Let's do that one more time. We start off with our knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, yarn over, SSK, slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, left needle on the front leg of those 2 stitches, yarn over, pop out and off. I'm to my marker, slip my marker, go ahead and knit to the end of my row, and I'm going to turn and I'm going to go ahead and purl back. Because I know some of you want to see how I purl continental, I'm going to go ahead and do that here. So I'm going to start off by knitting my first 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip my marker, and now I'm going to purl. Remember, when you purl, your yarn is in front of your needles because your right hand needle is coming up here. You yarn over top of the needle just like that, over the top, pop it out and off. In, around, out, off. In, around, out, off. In, around, out, off. In, around, out, off. Now, as I continental purl, I tend to put a little bit more pressure when I go around, and then I put some pressure onto my yarn, my working yarn. It's just the way I happen to do it. If you have a different way of holding your yarn to create that nice taut stitch, please go ahead and do that. As long as you are creating a beautiful knitted fabric, that's what we want. This particular stitch pattern just requires you to repeat rows 1 through 4 until the stitch pattern is as long as you want it to be. I'm going to go ahead and work up a couple more repeats and then show you exactly what it looks like in the tangerine color, so you can kind of get another look of what it looks like in something other than the white color. All right, why don't you go ahead and do the same? Join me back here and let's see if our work looks the same. Okay, I've gone ahead and repeated a couple more of the pattern repeats so that you could see what it looks like. Let's take a look. As you can see in the tangerine color, I've completed a couple more of the pattern repeats, and I want to point out that you can see right here where we began with our knit 2 togethers, the stitches are leaning to the right, just as I said they would. And over here where we did our SSKs, our stitches are leaning to the left. Knit 2 togethers, SSKs, knit 2 togethers, SSKs. Some of you might be wondering, why is it that our stitch count never changes even though we've been doing decreases? You also have to remember we've been doing increases. Every time you do that yarn over, that is an increase. So you'll notice in the pattern, every row that you have that there is a decrease, there is also an increase. And for every decrease, there is 1 increase, so that your stitch count never changes. That's something that I really love about lace. It's simply magical. Hopefully you'll go ahead and continue on with this swatch and make it into a cowl or a scarf or something really special. If you make something different than anything I just mentioned, why don't you share that with me over on the Marley Bird Facebook page. I would love to see what it is you're creating. If you've enjoyed this video, I do have many more other videos you could go check out on the playlist that are available on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. Better yet, hit subscribe so you're up to date whenever there's a new video release, and make sure you smash that like button, as my kids say, so that other people know you enjoyed this video. I'm Marley Bird, proud spokesperson for Red Heart Yarn, and I hope you'll come back soon. Talk to you later. Bye.